Good morning. Welcome to another wonderful week at Win Inc. And I have the privilege of starting off our week of wonderful speakers and ideas in Wayne's World of Wealth. Many people have asked over the weeks and months, do we just talk about money management and investing? No. Obviously, there's a lot more to building wealth. And today we're going to be going back and refreshing ourselves in something we did 2 weeks ago on basically mastering objection handling by learning better ways to close. I will expose you to 6 master closing techniques and talk about handling hesitations, objections, conditions, and stalls. So our goal is to knock their socks off, to review something we did 2 weeks ago. If you weren't here, it'll be brand new. If you were here, I'm just reminding you of what we did. So with that said, there's a lot of ways of looking at wealth building. Obviously, to me, if I can't close a listing presentation, if I can't close a negotiations for a win-win, if I can't close a buyer agency agreement so they sign so we can go look at homes, then I don't feel I'm going to get paid. I think that's the real world that we have to live in. If it doesn't close, you don't get paid. If they don't sign a listing agreement, you don't get paid. If they don't sign a buyer agency agreement, you're hoping there's co-op compensation, but you're probably not getting what you're worth. With that said, let's move forward and realize we might want to just simply learn to knock their socks off. And by that, I mean that the word socks, S-O-C-K-S, has a number of different things in it that help you become a master closer. The stall, just quickly, a reminder, it's hiding for whatever reason. The real reason people don't feel they can make a decision. You got to get through that. We'll talk about objections and conditions which you can't handle, and the need for knowledge. The more closings you have, the more master closings you can build, the more ways you can handle objections, the greater and quicker your sales will be. Without knowledge, you don't know what to do when they say this, say that, or give you a stall, or give you an objection, or give you a condition. Now, seems very basic, but it's very difficult because the majority of agents do not know very many closes to handle objections. Many agents don't know what a condition is and how it can't be handled, don't even try. And most people get hung up on a stall because they try to get involved in it. We'll do a 5-step track on that as we move forward in this process today together. So hesitations and stalls are sometimes the same thing. There's a reason why they don't want to do something. You've got to turn that into an objection so you can solve it. You cannot handle a hesitation. If anybody tells you in any training program across the country you can handle hesitation and stalls, I'd like to know how. I've got to turn a stall or a hesitation into an objection. And sometimes there may be underlying conditions which don't even allow me to resolve that objection because it's a condition, not an objection. It's not that you're wrong. It's not that you're not good at it. You just can't solve a condition. It's got to be an objection. So by definition, without looking at the whole word for word paragraph there, if you look at that while I'm saying this, a hesitation or stall is hiding for whatever reason, the real reason they don't feel they can make a decision. They are hiding their real feelings. And that's what you have to expose. People won't tell you everything until they like and trust you. You've heard it so many times by so many trainers that you've got to be liked and trusted in this business. The NAR research yearly of buyers and sellers says that people will do business over 80% of the time if they like and trust the agent, other things being equal. And guess what? We have probably the only industry in a free enterprise system where everybody has the exact same inventory. So I've got to be liked and trusted. And if I can handle objections, they trust me more because I'm answering their questions. I'm bonding with them. They feel like I'm the expert. I know what I'm talking about. Knowledge is why in the word socks, it's S-O-C-K-S. There's got to be knowledge to know how to handle objections. So let's look at how we can overcome and not get hung up on the stalls and the stands and end up handling the objections a little better, or at least a little more complete than we ever did before. As you know, we're still going through a phase of higher prices. Interest rates have come down a little bit in some markets, stayed about the same. The Fed is saying they're going to, in the next couple of weeks, when they have the next meeting, raise interest rates again. We'll find out in about 2 weeks whether or not it's going to be another 3/4 or 75 basis points, or they're going to go down to 50 or maybe even 25. But I do predict, and I still predict, there will be 3 raises before the end of the year. How big or how long, I don't know. But there will be at least 3, and one more is coming in September. I'd be shocked if we don't have 3, and I'd be happy if we don't have 3. But I believe we will have 3. And then I think we can settle. So this model is very powerful. We use it a lot in negotiation training. The concept of the stand or the hesitation is there at the top of the iceberg. That's the part you don't get excited about. Don't get hung up on it. Just cushion it. Agree with them. The best thing you can do with a stand is to agree with them. I can appreciate how you feel, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. Other people felt that same until they felt out that. Hey, I understand what you're saying. Cushion it. Cushion it. But then get in and talk to them. See, instead of saying yes, but, here's the problem. Many agents take the stand and say yes, but. They cushion it with the yes, but then they slam it with the but. If you take the but out of a rebuttal, rebuttal is spelled R-E-B-U-T-T-A-L. If you take the but out of rebuttal, you've got real, R-E-A-L. What I'd like to share with you today is the real way to handle the stand. It is no longer yes, but. You have to take the Paprocki pledge that you'll never use yes, but again in your real estate career, probably in your life. You want to cushion it by saying yes, and. You can take the same yes, but statement and make it a lot softer, a lot safer, and a lot more effective if you say yes, and. I need to show you something I think might interest you. Yes, and other people felt that way until they found out that. Versus yes, but. See, but is just so negative, so competitive, opens up a frustrated point on this person. And people know when it's a yes, but, boy, the hammer's coming down. So let's leave this concept of the SAM model, remembering no longer are you able to use, if you're serious about being a top producer, yes, but. It's yes, and forever. Once that's done, then you can get into the area of concern, what their interests are. Because so much success comes from people who understand interests and ways in which people want to move forward in their home buying plans or their home selling plans. That ties in nicely with the big emotional drivers. When you really find out if it's love, if it's ego, if it's gain that wants them to buy this property or sell this property. You want to find out, is it comfort, romance, investment, security, or privacy that's going to make them want to buy this house or move to a new house? Those were a lot of words, but you know what? They form 2 simple words, leg and crisp, love, ego, and gain, the 3 most powerful motivators in the world for every product or service. And then specifically for real estate, comfort, romance, investment, security, and privacy, which forms the word crisp. I think you've got to start to develop a crisp selling process, a crisp selling process. Once you do that, realize objections are just unanswered questions. That's why knowledge is potential power. It becomes power when you can share it and people accept it and use it. The more people know up front, we're going to call that a safe island in a few moments, the more they will continue to want to work with you. So we, as mentioned weeks ago, the open-ended questions, who did you, what did you, where did you, when did you, why did you, how did you? Those are all powerful concepts. And you have to realize oftentimes the first thing they say that sounds like an objection is not the real objection. They're still hiding their real feelings. So patience and persistence are powerful. And patience And persistence, to be powerful, means you're asking open-ended questions to get the real concern so you can deal with it. What's the reason they don't make a decision? Not why they feel they won't. What's the reason they won't buy a house today? They won't list at your price. They won't do a price reduction. What's the real reason? With that as the background, don't cause your own problems, create new objections. Many agents get themselves into a rut that turns into a grave because they trigger new objections nobody thought of as a buyer or seller. Again, we're back to that word listen. Listen. Rearrange the letters in the word listen, and it spells silent. The more silent you are, the more listening you have in your presentation, the more information you will gather, the better the decision you can make. Agents have to realize they create some of their own problems. And again, some people stop their presentation. They've got this great presentation. They've got this process, their attention, interest, desire, conviction, and action, and then they let themselves get interrupted by somebody asking a question or making an objection. Sometimes the best way to handle objection is to avoid it. It may go away. Or a better way might be to say, that's a great idea. Let me jot that down. Let me get to that once I complete what I'd like to share with you. Don't let them throw you off track. Once you go off track, your train derails. I am big on tracks. Those of you that have listened to me for months, maybe years, know I'm big on tracks. I learned tracks from my mentor. I believe if you're on a track, you'll get there. How you get there is the way you do business, but don't lose sight of the track. The track always gets you there. There's no detours. There's no problems when you're on track. Continuing on, Continuing on, we can take a look at the concept of understanding dialogues. You've got to learn not scripts, not verbatim, not rote memory, a dialogue. A way of saying things that's you talking. So you sound competent, confident, and natural. People, that is the real key to showing your expertise. You are competent. They can see that. They can feel that. You're confident. They can see that and they can feel that because you have self-esteem plus knowledge. I know that I know that I know. And I know that I'm the right person to work with these buyers or sellers. And then you've got to be natural. That's where the dialogues come in. You cannot sound phony as you handle objections. You cannot sound phony anywhere in your presentations to buyers and sellers or in negotiations with the other side. But we'll talk about magic in threes. You need to know 3 good dialogues. We're going to talk about 6 master closes quickly today and expand on those in future weeks. And you want to mix and match dialogues to fit situations because everybody is unique. It's some of the same dialogues. They've got to be customized. That's why we talk about motivators, features, advantages, and benefits. A feature is a feature, but the same feature in a home is a different benefit to many different buyers. Some people see that feature for this reason. Some people see it for that reason. You want to mix and match to get things done in the most appropriate way. So it's not what you say many times, but how you say it. The phrase I love to use is, I sometimes am selling the sizzle, not the steak. I'm saying the same thing somebody else said, but I say it in a different way. I can appreciate how you feel is a very common phrase. I might say, I understand what you're going through. Yeah, I got it. Other people felt that same way until they found out something. That's me saying it. It's natural. See, what do you say that could be improved by how you say it? Do you have voice and face inflection? Do you use a visual? Do you ask questions? Sometimes using their name as part of the objection. So let me ask you, Gary, Tom, Sue, Cindy, what's the real reason? Blah, 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 blah. You want to make sure you handle their concerns. It's not so much than the actual technique. Say something as opposed to nothing. But don't sell with blah, blah if you can sell with blah. We talk too much. And I used the word persistent a few moments ago. Let me share something I share in many different places in my seminars with thousands of agents. Patience without persistence leads to paralysis. I have to be persistently moving them forward, not pushy, not demanding, just persistent. I want to make little steps, little things. Success by the inch is a cinch in closing. Success by the yard becomes very hard. Little steps. We sometimes call those trial closes. I can build on some trial closes, so I've got so many yeses. By the time I ask the closing question, they're saying yes. Be pleasantly persistent. See, no, in the true eyes of a professional, does not mean N-O. It means K-N-O-W. I don't know enough yet to make a decision to hire you to be my buyer's agent or to list with you or accept that offer you're projecting. No, in the real estate world is K-N-O-W. Not yet, because I don't know enough. You didn't tell me enough to say, yes, I better hire you. I better use you. I better join forces with you. Don't take no as an N-O. Take no as a call to give them more information or to review the information, because maybe what you said was not what they heard, or what they heard is not what you meant. We got a lot of cross communication. I can only suggest, if you feel weak in communication, there's ways to understand how to build better open communications. The best source I have found is something called the Johari window, Johari. Joe Luft and Harry Ingham created it. Just a powerful book, powerful study. Most college communication classes make it a mandatory reading. It's powerful. We are ninjas in a blazer. We know what we have to do, and we're going to do it. Sometimes we fall short, and that's why I'm here today. Because getting past no reminds me there's magic in threes. People are skeptical. We're finding some numbers as high as 60% of consumers will say no just to see if they can wear you down. FSBOs are tremendous at that. I swear they go to FSBO training school to learn how to say no consistently because they wear you down. You give up before they give in. You know, I was closing 17 to 22 FSBOs every year as part of my business plan because I did not take no, and I was consistent and persistent and resilient. The system is very powerful. In the future weeks to come, months to come, I hope to share that program with you. But I was consistent, persistent, and resilient. No meant K-N-O-W. You don't know enough to quit doing this yourself. It's time we get together. And we've got loads of data to prove how powerful that is. But look at some of these statistics on the average sale. 47% of the salespeople give after their first no. They walk away. 14% give up after the second no. It just goes on and on and on. And again, the bottom line is, it should have been in big dark bold, that last bullet point. Salespeople in all aspects of sales failed by giving up too soon. And in real estate, I think that's more obvious than almost any other business. We give up too soon. But I do know there's magic in threes. If you close no more than 3 times, if you close no less than 3 times, which means you always close 3 times, you will never push your clients beyond repair. That's patient persistence. I'm not saying you can't close more than 3 times, but once you're beyond 3, you're starting to push people beyond repair. Unfortunately, that can cause some problems. On the other hand, some of the most successful salespeople I've interviewed and asked, and my own experiences, I know oftentimes it takes me 7 closes. I just have to be more subliminally seductive in close 4, 5, 6, and 7. I can't sound too pushy. I've got to nudge them a little bit because I could push them beyond repair. That's the danger. But it does sometimes take, on the average, 7 closes. But see, if you only know 1 or 2, not even 3, what are you going to do? And if it's the same 3 all the time, what are you going to do? We need something new. So always close no more than 3 times, always close no less than 3 times, i.e. close 3 times. You will never push people beyond repair. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. So K-N-O-W, the magic word. It's not N-O, it's K-N-O-W. And again, it's a tough business. We're stressed, but we're stressed because we don't close enough. We give up too soon. We get frustrated. We're not natural. We're not competent. We're not confident. And sometimes clients sense that. They really do. So how do you handle objections? You got to be determined. You've got to have a good delivery. And above all, you got to have some good dialogue. The right words to say. Determination to deal with difficult people and difficult issues. We got some crazy times now. Inventories are short. Prices are high. Interest rates are up. We got potential recession coming soon. We have a housing recession. We technically have an official recession, but the government says it's not really a recession. We have 2 negative growth quarters. We have the Fed continually raising rates. And if they continue to do too much, the recession will come quicker. That's another whole seminar. But you've got to have the words to say, the right words to say without offending or upsetting a client. We got to be very sensitive with the comments we make, the way we make them, and how we look at things. And the last thing is, you've got to be able to be smooth at delivery. You've got to really let it flow. It's kind of like a good meal. It flows, the delivery, the waiter brings things at the right time. Sometimes the greatest food is presented poorly. Sometimes the greatest presentation in real estate is presented poorly. You need to be confident, competent, and natural. And confidence, to me, in Wayne's world, is self-esteem plus knowledge. Take a look at your self-esteem engine. How's it working? And look at what you know. How well do you know that market area? How well do you know what happened in the last 6 months? What's your projection based on facts for the next 6 months? Then we get these crazy objections. I got to sleep on it. These conditions, these stalls. I'm not selling you a mattress you're going to sleep on. I'm selling you a house. I'm listing a house. What's sleeping on going to do tomorrow morning? Something going to change overnight? What's the magic? We hear these things are stalls. They're hiding the real reason they don't feel they can say yes tonight. I got to think it over. Or if you ever go on a listing presentation, or as I call them, seller counseling sessions, and both parties are not at home, you have just built in a stall. Oh, I got to check with my partner, my spouse. Got to talk to my family. Those are all stalls. You've got to find out why. So if you're making a presentation to a buyer to sign an agreement or a seller to sign an agreement, and they're all not going to be there, the odds are they're not signing that night. You're a rare agent if you can get the thing on the market that day or get them to sign a buyer agreement with only one party signing. But if you can, wonderful. I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm going to say it's rare, very rare. So be familiar with the most common objections. You know your market. You know better than me what all people say almost all the time. Oh, my God, interest rates are rising. I won't be able to afford it. Well, again, it's not so much the interest rate. It's how fast they pay it off. Show them methods of paying things off to build equity. The biweekly mortgage knocks years off. Using home equity line of credit instead of a first mortgage knocks years off. All kinds of ways. Paying next month's principal and changing a 30-year loan to a 15-year loan. There's all kinds of ways to handle the financing problem. There's tons of money out there. It's just the price of money. But the price of money is still not that expensive. Even at 6%, if you're in the 25% tax bracket, that means your net interest rate is 4%. If you're in the 33% tax bracket, it's even less. So I don't feel that we should be concerned with with interest rates as being a problem right now. Some of you remember 12%, 10%. Some people remember 18, 19, 20%. They still sold houses. We just got into a lull, and that lull created what we thought was going to be forever. So let's hit the main point. How do we get past those hesitations? This is the most powerful tool I believe you could use on a regular basis to handle an objection or a stall. So what we see here, what you can view here, is one of those ways to make sure you understand what they're saying. And the words they're using are just so I can get a clear picture. That's a great way. Maybe you like that dialogue. And then do the rest of it. What is it that's holding you back, or what's specifically holding you back? But here's the key. Now you have a list of things, whether you got them on a visual or you got them on a piece of paper, that you always ask but never stop. It's not what is it the price, and wait for them to answer. It's not what is it the terms, and wait for them to answer. It's what is it, yes or no? What is it, what is it? So when you want to find out the real reason, the what is it allows you to just quickly go through. Don't stop. You want to get all the possible objections till they find one. What is it? Is it no? What is it? No, no. Yes, that's it. The moving date. So what you're saying is you're ready to do this if we could arrange a better moving date. What's the ideal moving date for you? And if that doesn't work, what's the ideal date for you? I just put a request in to my home warranty company to fix some faucets at an air conditioner at one property and some faucets at another property. They give me 3 dates to pick from for the service call. Magic in threes. I got to pick 3 days to process my request for service. So yesterday I put one in. I picked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Guess what? Appointment confirmed for tomorrow at 1:00 on that particular property. See, what is it is a continual flow to get through all the potential problems till you isolate it to one. Once I isolate it to one, then I can handle that. See, if I can handle a hesitation into an objection and then be able to solve it by the what is it technique, because as it says towards the bottom of the screen, a yes to any one of those questions leads to a specific objection handling dialogue. That's where the dialogue comes in. So you have to have a dialogue ready for price objections, for term objections, for agent objections. Boy, that's a toughie. When they say it's you, yeah, it's you. Just can't stand you. Well, that's a real setback. That's for sure. But is it the terms? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the moving date? That's when you can solve the problem. That's the beauty of the what is it technique. It isolates every possible, and then you have a dialogue for each one ready to go. And you can probably sit down today or tomorrow and identify 5 or 6 things that people hesitate before they say yes on. I just gave you 3 or 4 here. Now, hesitations are not objections. And all we're saying is a powerful salesperson responds to finding out more about that you can help them with. That's why the was it, is it technique is there. And once you go through all the possible things that what is it, there should be one that stands out. But always, once, yeah, that's it. Then you have to bring in the trial close. So what is it? Oh, it's the commission. So other than the commission, the fees we charge, you'd be ready to listen with me tonight? Yeah. Well, let me show you something. And then you start your whole presentation on how commissions are paid and how there's co-op compensation and kind of services you want. Maybe an analogy of a car wash. Do you want the $24 car wash or the $3 car wash? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want advertisements in these publications? Will you pay for the styling or staging? By the way, several of my students have convinced me, my coaching students, that the word staging sounds fake to them. They like to use the word styling. If that helps you sound different, selling the sizzle, So I now talk about styling a house. I've got a listing coming up later on this week in a small town, about an hour from me. And we're talking about him styling his house, styling the backyard. Got some things. It just sounds different because my coaching students told me staging sounds fake. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying I love that they pull themselves out of the commodity market of the word staging into the specialty market of styling. I love agents that pull themselves and what they say and how they say it out of the commodity market into the specialty market. That means so much to me. So, timing objections is critical. As I said earlier, some people try to solve an objection right away and it screws everything up. Some people don't know what objections are going to be and they open up a can of worms because there's always these tons of objections. Good objections are handled before they become objections. Also realize you can have specific objection handling dialogues. And you got to know, if you ever watched an old rerun series on TV or watched it live years ago, Columbo was a master at asking questions and solving problems. He used the what is it technique in his own way. Watch a couple of reruns of Columbo and just listen to how that man kept asking questions. It was just his aura. He always seemed to answer a question with a question. And we have the humor that comes out now with prices rising. You see stories all the time, but sometimes a little humor can remind people of the real world, or maybe just some facts of what happened between now and then. But again, don't make them feel bad because they didn't buy 6 months ago. Make them feel they're going to benefit by the future. The past is history. The past is history. The future is a mystery. I wish I could say how soon we're going to be done with this raising of interest rates and the potential of getting out of an inflationary economy. But we'll see. We're still pushing 8%. But more importantly, let's get past these objections. Let's take the time we have left today and share a few ideas of getting past these objections. If we can do that, I believe you leave here and finish smarter, and I feel happier. If there's nothing better than leaving Monday in the world of wealth, is you finishing smarter and me feeling happier. But there's that track. I am convinced you must stay on track to handle objections. And I believe there's a 5-step track. A train that stays on a track that never derails gets to where it goes on a regular basis. As soon as it goes off track, you got a problem. You got an accident, you got a wreck, and everything is discombobulated. So there's my process. Now, I actually put a 6-step in, but I would believe I'm going to cushion it, agree with them, question it, isolate it, handle it, and close it. But I like adding that 5th point because it's the show and tell, which changes their thinking through visuals and dialogues. Sometimes you don't have visuals and dialogues with you if you're out on a showing or something. But in your presentations, your buyer counseling session, your seller counseling session, it's a 6-step process. You agree with them, that's cushioning it. And I just gave you some tremendous language. I can understand why you feel that way. I can appreciate why you feel that way. And the key word there is feel, not think. So far today, hopefully you promised forever to eliminate yes, but, replace it with yes, and. Now, the second challenge for the rest of your life in the sales world of real estate, the privilege of helping people buy and sell the most expensive asset they ever will probably have. The word think should never be part of your vocabulary. Think about this. It's how do you feel about this? The feeling brain is much more powerful than the thinking brain. You agree with them by asking them how they feel. Then you question it to make sure what they're feeling is what really is a potential problem. And you can use something like just so I can get a clear picture. Or if I can get a better feel. Whatever you want to say. But see, this track should never change. You can change the words, the dialogue, because see, when you cushion it, it puts you on the same side as your client, a yes Yes, and the question helps you understand their client's concern. And go back to the SAM model. It was stand, area, concern. We got to find out what their concern is, the real reason why they don't make a decision. Then you want to isolate it. That's the what is it, is it? Is that the what is it, is it? What is it, is it? That's the only thing. Now, once you identify what it is, you separate multiple objections to deal with one. Then you can show that you have a solution. You can, if I could prove to you, let me show you something that might change your mind. There's a lot of ways of saying this. I like to use, let me show something that might change your mind. Can I show you something that might change your mind? And by the way, anytime you want to do something as handling objections, you have to add some sugar coating to the end of your question. Let me show you something that might change your mind. Fair enough? A little money maker. F-A-R-E-N-U-F. Fair enough? Fair enough? Boy, people want to be fair. And you'll be able to show them because they're going to give you permission. See, don't just talk to them. Get permission to show them. People tend to support what they help create. Let them say, yeah, show me. Show me. Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough allows them to say yes faster and quicker because nobody wants to be thought of as unfair. And then, again, the most powerful concept of any sales technique is you got to close. All this means nothing if you can't close. There's loads of people that get face-to-face with clients all day long, potential clients, although they can't close. There's loads of people that showed 5, 10, 15, 20 houses, can't get a buyer to buy one. There's loads of agents that lose the negotiations because they can't get people to close. They can't bring them together. They can't create a win-win. Words are windows. Marshall Rosenberg said that. Words are windows. Now, here's the problem. They're also weapons. And words are windows because you can see more by asking and using the right words, but also words can be weapons. They can wound people sometimes. So your words that you select need to be very sensitive to, especially today in the politically correct market. So words are windows, but in Wayne's world, words can also be weapons. And they hurt sometimes. They hurt sometimes. So the dialogue, the vocabulary, the warm-up, the setup, the tie-down, the close. See, again, you've got to create a setup. You've got to get them into what I call persuasion so you can persuade. See, persuading is setting them up. Persuading is getting them to tie down and close. We actually did a seminar a few weeks ago on one of our sessions of World of Wealth on how to persuade and tennis persuade, a 3-part series. Hopefully you saw it. If not, I may bring it back if enough people would like to hear it again. How to persuade before you persuade. Some people don't set up. Some people don't warm up. Every sport, whether it's tennis, football, basketball, baseball, golf, all the professionals warm up. They get themselves set up. They line up. They look at. They analyze. We oftentimes just show up. Because the key is you have to close. Setups. Here's some examples. Well, look at some of this dialogue. I don't know if any of these strike you that you can make into your own words. This one's pretty tough. You ever made a mistake before or you're about to make another one? Let me explain what I mean. This is where oftentimes somebody says, well, the other broker will do it for less. You know, Bob Smith at BS Realty, they'll do it for 5%, 4%, 3%, 1%, 10%. I don't know. They'll make some number out. But what they don't know is Bob Smith at BS Realty doesn't negotiate very well. Their list to sale price ratio is 88%. Yours is at 94% or 96%. By listing with Bob Smith at BS Realty for X percent versus paying me X plus 2%, you're actually losing money. Let me show you something that might change your mind or help you with your decision. There's the feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. A lot of people have felt that way till they found out that. I can appreciate how you feel. If you don't like the word understand, I know how you're feeling. I know what you're feeling. Let me share something with you that I believe I know will help. And there's that little final trial close after the was it is it. Is that the only thing that's holding you back? What if I could prove to you we can solve that? Would you list with me tonight? Would you sign the buyer agreement today? See, those are setups. They're used when you're having a conversation with a client and want to make a point that will help the client make a decision. Now, if you've got some better ones, that's fine. But are you using setups? Are you getting them in a persuading mindset? These are persuasion principles. You're persuading them. And if you don't persuade, it's much, much more difficult to persuade. And many people say this business, sales, is the art of gentle persuasion. The key word is gentle persuasion. We are not competitive salespeople. I do not want to be competitive. I teach collaborative sales techniques. I teach collaborative negotiation techniques. I do not talk about competitive techniques except to use them as pitiful examples. We are in a consultative mindset. We are creating an atmosphere of likeness and trust, and that is collaborative. But we need to persuade people. See, oftentimes too soon, we want to close. Many people, when a phone call comes into the office, a floor call as it sometimes is called, they're trying to sell the house. I don't want to sell a house over the phone. I want to turn them from a call-in into a walk-in. I want to turn them from a call-in into a walk-in. That's all I want to do. I want to get face-to-face with somebody who can sign something. We overlook this thing and try to oversell this thing, whether we're at a grocery store, at an open house, or wherever. You got to get face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball at some point in a formal buyer counseling session or seller counseling session until they sign something. How you set it up is how it's going to work or not work. It always happens. So those are just a few examples. You can use them as you want. Hopefully you jotted a few of them down or watch this live Facebook again. The tie downs, a lot of questions. Tie downs are full of questions designed to get a commitment from a client. Does that make sense? Wouldn't you agree? See how that'd be helpful? What do you say? We get the ball rolling? Can we move forward together? Fair enough. There's loads of tie downs. Get them to sign on the appropriate paperwork. You might find others you're using already that make sense. But here's the key. Lots of closes. Again, if you close no more than 3 times and close no less than 3 times, you get what you want most of the time without pushing people beyond repair. You've got to close at least 3 times. These are just a few closes. We should go ahead with this offer. We should move forward together and put this house on the market. The drawbacks to waiting are going to be critical today. With interest rates, prices, inventory, potential recession, drawbacks to waiting could be a powerful tool to use, putting actual dollars amount with the cost of waiting. I have a tenant who's living in a very large home, starting their 7th year. Every home I rent out is a rent to own. I will allow them to do a rent to own when they start. There's a lot of reasons for that. But the bottom line is they came by and started talking. We talked about signing a new lease or buying. Well, they can't buy right now. Well, you want to do the rent to own? No. Oh, we should have 6 years ago. Now we can't afford this house. That's true. They waited. The drawbacks to waiting now after 6 years of paying a lot of rent, they can't afford to buy the house at the price they could have had it 6 years ago and had money go towards the principal. But they chose not to. If you okay this tonight, I can still make the advertising deadlines for the weekend. We still run a broker open. We can do this, we can do that. Let's finalize all the paperwork while I'm here. You got your computer, you got your forms, PDFs they can sign with DocuSign or any other form you're using, whatever. Lot of need for urgency here. Lot of need for urgency. But above all, realize you have to close. Now, I mentioned earlier, a key factor in the next, I think, 6 to 8 months will be explaining to people as sellers the drawbacks to waiting and as buyers the drawbacks to waiting. Well, we've already seen this, number one, from January till now, from 3% to roughly 5 to 6%. House values, if there's going to be a recession, will change. In some markets, they're slowing down. We know that new construction is rare, but it costs quite a bit. Markets look at things differently. We don't have a lot of saturated markets, but we have people that probably will have to sell if there is a recession. That's what happens. Remember, inflation or recession, it doesn't make a difference. Wealth always transfers from one group of people to another group of people. All you have to do in Wayne's world to build wealth during a recession or inflation is be the transferee of wealth, not the transferor of wealth. That's all. So you've got, I'm sure from your company, from some of the seminars you attend, maybe some materials you already have, a lot of reasons why waiting could be costly, but you need to put this in dollars, the holding cost, the extra cost per month, whatever it might be. But the key to realize is fear of loss is always a greater motivator than the opportunity for gain. That's the most powerful mindset in consumer behavior. In general, fear of loss is always a greater motivator than the opportunity for gain. And if you want to do something, as it says, point out the benefits. If you want to do something today, take it away. Fear of loss. Human nature says people want what they can't have. It's act now. So much of the advertising, the marketing, the sales we see are based on this philosophy. You can take a lot of the solid marketing techniques that help companies sell billions more and adapt them to real estate at various situations. I love this. If you want them to do something, point out the benefits, not the features, not the advantages, the benefits. What's really in it for me? And if you want them to do it today, take it away. The power of the takeaway is one of the most powerful selling techniques that anybody can do. Some people are good at taking it away. That is probably the most powerful pieces of information I could share in the last 5 minutes. So here's one. We want to wait until after the holidays. Oh, we've just got this. Now Labor Day, oh, pretty soon it's the end of summer. Then I got Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then Hanukkah, then Kwanzaa, then that. Talk about excuses. Well, how do you handle after the holidays? Well, first of all, now there's less competition. And I got to tell you, it's wonderful to go into a home during the holidays. It smells different. If there's holiday decorations up, they look different. You can have a nice mess of things. You're wrapping packages or doing other things. And above all, you got some serious people that start buying and looking during the holidays. And it could be sensitive negotiations. But these are things that you could say that might stop them from thinking, oh, it's a bad time to buy or a bad time to sell. Wait until after the holidays. There's never a good time. There's never a bad time. There's always the right time. Sellers want to fix it up first. The money pit's concerned. I suggest strongly you make a serious decision on whether people should be renovating, remodeling, and do the wrong thing. Maybe a negotiable credit at closing, a remodeling credit, a redecorating credit, or sometimes, as I call it, an undecorating credit. That's not a negative, but some people don't like beige, and some people don't like blue, and some people don't like red. This house I'm going to list has a beautiful kitchen. He chose to get a blue cabinets. They're kind of bluish color cabinets. It looks nice, but somebody might say, oh, these cabinets are horrendous. He spent hundreds of dollars getting those cabinets refinished in blues, thousands of dollars, because he liked the blue. Doesn't mean somebody else will like the blue. So an up to X amount of undecorating credit might be a better way to go. And by the way, the same amount of a buy down or a credit sometimes is better than a price reduction. So I can always take the credit out of I haven't changed the price. Once I lower the price, I've lowered the price. Once I offer a 5, 10, 15, 20,000 undecorating credit, I can take that off and still the price stays the same. It's a better way to negotiate. I never will do a price reduction until I offer either 3, 2, 1 buy down or some type of undecorating or decorating allowance. Because I can't afford to let my client lose money for sure. A few other things as we close this down. Time flies when you're having fun. Supply. Some people worry about selling. Some people worry about buying. Either way, we got to look at the market in that area. Is there a lot of places they can go to if their house sells fast? Loads of people got shocked in the last several months. House sold in a day, they got no place to go. And again, unfortunately, there's not always a plentiful number of houses in supply in some market areas. You know better than me, in some of your market areas, there's a real struggle when somebody wants to buy a house and the price is going to buy because there's none available. But timing is critical. So as we look at today, I can only say thank you for listening and getting into a few ideas. I think it's critical that you realize there's more to this than the hour we're putting together. You can spend some time looking at the stalls, the hesitations, looking at some of the other techniques, thinking about dialogue, a lot of different things you must do. But my goal was to have a little fun. I think I gave you several facts, and I cannot believe you didn't finish smarter. Now, maybe I just reminded you, maybe underwhelmed you, or maybe overwhelmed you. But the bottom line is, this is a collaborative approach to the process. So with that said, I hope to see you at a future seminar of mine. I'd like to make sure that you become a part of our podcast, of our Facebook Lives every week, and continue to see as many of us on Win Inc. as you possibly can. You do not know what 1 week with all the tremendous people following me all the way up to Luxury Fridays to my partner, Michael LaFido, will do. And above all, find and attract and keep a nucleus of people. But as you're watching us on a regular basis, just a reminder, the 2020 rule, University of Texas said this, the more you're on a computer, the more you're on internet, the more you need to take a break for 20 seconds. You may have watched me or didn't watch me, but my eyes move away while I'm talking, 20 feet away, so I can keep my pupils dilated. Little things like that can make a difference, a huge difference. So the Master Closer Seminar is much more detailed than this, but let me leave you with the 6 kinds of closes you should be looking for. Not specific words, you can go find them. MASTER. To be a master closer in Wayne's World, you have to understand how to use minor point closes, how you can build. See, I've never sold a house. I've never sold a home. I sold a box, different size boxes, bigger boxes, taller boxes, longer boxes, with all these different rooms. And there's no perfect home. Even if you build, it's not perfect. So once I got more rooms they liked versus the ones they didn't like, I could do a minor point close. Yeah, I agree. That's a small master bedroom closet. But look at the backyard. Well, that backyard is awesome. Let's check now. Backyard, minor point close. Would you want to miss watching the sunset or have the kids playing in the backyard? No. So you just blew aside the small master closet. The assumptive close. The assumption they're going to buy. Well, this one seems to be the one. Well, this is the one, isn't it? The sharp angle close. the tie-down close, the expander close, and the rapport builder close. Now, you can go online and probably just dialogue or Google minor point close, assumptive close, sharp angle close, tie-down close, expander close, rapport builder close, and find some information if you don't wait till we do the Master Closer Seminar in future weeks. Because now what do you have? You have 6 different kinds of closes. 6 different kinds of closes to overcome hesitations, handle objections, and try to at least get through some underlying conditions. So I guess we talked about a lot that boils down to one simple fact. If you can't close, you probably are not going to be a success. A lot of activity and no accomplishment. Today, we had a lot of activity and a lot of accomplishment by all that we said. So enjoy your week. You've got 2 more great programs today with Jackie and with the rest of the day. So enjoy yourself. Have a good week. I'll see you next week in the world of wealth.